Today I'll show you how you can feel like you're at a restaurant in your own home by tweaking the way you make and plate a simple French toast brunch. Hi, I'm Taryn. Welcome to my kitchen studio. This is where I like to have fun with food and share tips and tricks to make your food not only taste delicious, but look fantastic too. If this is the kind of thing that you're into, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Today I'll show you how to make and plate French toast, like you'll get at a restaurant. We'll talk about the main ingredients and some tips to keep in mind while you're cooking this delicious brunch. We'll also go over some ideas for plating it, thinking about height and positioning of our ingredients. To make our French toast, we obviously need bread. But what's not so obvious is that we don't want the freshest bread straight out of the oven. We want bread that's a few days old. If it's slightly old, it will soak up the egg so much better, creating a lovely fluffy French toast. The other thing about the bread is the thickness of the bread. If you're using a thin sandwich bread, it could easily fall apart after soaking it in the egg mixture. And if you use a really thick piece of bread, it might not cook all the way through the centre. So I say, go for something about a couple of centimetres, and that should be perfect. As far as the types of bread are concerned, you can use just about anything. White bread, brown bread, multigrain bread, hot cross buns, fruit bread, anything should work, though I would steer away from the whole grain bread or the really dense seedy breads. Then we need eggs and milk. The purpose of the milk is just to thin the egg a little bit, so any type of milk or milk substitute will work here. And lastly, we need our accompaniments. You have to have maple syrup, and I strongly recommend you buy a good quality one. It makes such a difference to the end flavour. And today I've got bacon, banana, a little bit of strawberry and mint to garnish, and some icing sugar to drizzle over the top. But you can use anything here, fresh fruit, berries, cream, whatever you have or whatever you feel like. Let me know in the comments some of your must-haves with French toast. Well, this French toast isn't going to make itself, so let's get on with it. Let's start with cutting our bread. We need to think ahead to how we want to present it. If we just cut it straight through the middle, we're going to end up with a mound of little circles on the plate. If we cut it on the diagonal, we're going to end up with lots of visual appeal and height with layering. Next, we need to whisk our egg and milk. Make sure you whisk the egg and milk really well so you don't end up with visible pieces of egg white on the finished French toast. As for the consistency of the egg and milk, we don't want it too thick or too thin, a bit like Goldilocks. We want it just right. I like to pour my egg mixture into a shallow, small container that's just going to fit the bread. Then we can use all that egg mixture up. Now we can dip the bread. It's really important that you give the bread time to soak up the egg. Don't just dip it, flip it and pull it out, because you won't get the egg mixture right through the bread. We're ready to start frying. Make sure you use a preheated pan. If the pan isn't hot, when you put the French toast in, the egg will seep down to the bottom and you'll end up with a little foot around the base of the bread. But be careful you don't have the pan too hot, because then the French toast will cook on the outsides and remain soggy through the centre. I'm going to be using a mixture of oil and butter today. Oil for the heat and butter for the flavour. If you just use butter, it will start to burn and you'll end up with little black bits on your French toast. About 3 to 4 minutes on each side over a medium heat should give you a beautiful golden French toast completely cooked through. And we're ready to start plating. I've got the other components of the dish here, the crispy fried bacon, the garnishes, and of course the maple syrup. And I'm going to show you how we can plate this to look like we're at a restaurant. I've got a round black plate here and a square white plate, just to give you two different ideas. Thinking about our presentation and wanting to add height to our plate, we'll need to start with a solid base. We want to interleave the bacon to have some throughout the dish and carefully position the bananas around for a bit of extra flavour. Give it a good swirl of that maple syrup I keep going on about. And finish with a generous sprinkle of icing sugar. And here's our white plate idea, just like you'd get at a restaurant. Nice fluffy French toast, layered up with bacon and banana and finished with maple syrup. Yum! And now onto our black plate idea. This one I'm going for height, piling it up as high as I can with a bit of bacon here and there. Oi, you stay up there. Position the bananas around. If you can get them to balance on a ledge, even better. Once again, add that generous swirl of maple syrup, a strawberry and a mint tip for colour, and finish with a dusting of icing sugar. And doesn't that look just like you'd get at a restaurant? I love the black plate option with the contrast of the white icing sugar. It's all beautifully layered up and of course finished with maple syrup. So here's our finished French toast, just like you'd get at a restaurant. We've talked about different cooking tips and different plating tips, giving it height and visual appeal. If you've found this video helpful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Happy French toasting!